This is sort of a complicated moment. It's a mixed moment for me and my family. Monique, I'm focusing on your shoes because I don't want to cry.
Oh,
and so I have to stay focused on them.
hey, gorgeous.
Because they make me smile. So it's complicated because, almost 3 years to the day, it was August 18th, Jen had her stroke here. And many of you were here when it happened. Rachel called me that morning. Rachel, Rob, and Alexa were the people who took care of Jen, pretty much saved her life until the ambulance got here. Lots of conflicted memories about that day, about coming here, about seeing everybody in a state of emotion and fear, not knowing what was going to happen with Jen. I remember me arriving here. David had come ahead. I remember Lori texting that Jen had a bleed in her brain, so I was going through resin states. I got here. Lots of intense memories, seeing Jen, seeing how close to death she was. Her hands were turned in, her legs were turned in, but she was moments away from her brain, her healing. And so there's all of that, and then my coming back, this love is hard, and trying to navigate in this space where so much trauma connected with what previously home, where there was really no negative emotions. And so we made it through, and so I had taken notes when I was in when we were all in the ICU and Jen was in the hospital, because there was so much going on that there was no way I could understand any of it or process any of it. And it was just like one moment she was not going to live, the next moment she was going to live, the next moment she would live if they got the blood out of her brain, which took 10 days, then she was going to live, then what was she left with? Who was she? Where did Jen go? And so all of that, and I started to, once Jen came out of the hospital and came out of Glencoe Hospital for rehab, we spent a lot of time together. And basically, before that, I hadn't spent much time with Jen because she was a completely free spirit. And, the last thing I knew was that she had been in New Mexico listening to tribal chants, driving on this highway at 95 miles an hour, her hair flying out of the car window until she was stopped by a member of the Navajo Nation. It was hit with a speeding ticket for God knows what, but that was Jen, okay? She was out there, she was just fearless, she was crazy, and so, I hadn't really had the opportunity to be with her, to really connect with who this crazy creature was that I had given birth to. And so all of a sudden, I started to see, wow, this is incredible, this opportunity that we were confronted with to spend time with her and to get to know her. And her present Jen, the entrepreneur who was running all over, selling her product and what have you. And so we start to talk, and basically, she had no idea what had happened. She had no memory. She didn't remember. She remembered coming to work that day. That was it. And so she said, I want to know everything. And as I started to tell her, she got really sad, and she said, oh my God, you guys must have been so worried, so scared, so terrified. And I said, yeah. I said, we were. I said, you know. So she said, well, maybe we need to tell the story. And Jen's always been a writer, and I've always been sort of a closet writer, if you will, a library writer, but, and so basically we started to put some of this down together, and basically Jen said, let's write it, and we're going to call it The Gift, because it's the gift of time that none of us knew we needed with each other. And so today, it's no longer called The Gift, because that was like too generic a name. A million gifts out there, God bless them all. But so we called it In the Face of Catastrophe, How a Traumatic Brain Injury Became a Blessing. It's a very short title, and really easy to find when you're, what was the name of that? What? And of course, David, my husband, was looking for catastrophe with the Y at the end instead of an E. What is the matter with you? So he said, it's nowhere. I said, not that way, it's nowhere. In any event, so the book is out today, and I thought there's really no better place for me to share this launch with than with all of you who, just were so loving and supporting. And everyone with with email, with text, with notes, with, it was just unbelievable the amount of love that came from this place, from you guys. And so that's why I wanted to bring it back and share this, but I thought maybe I wanted to read the acknowledgments, and then I thought maybe I'd read one or two things. Okay. Thank you to everyone who has helped support our family through Jen's life and death struggle, her ongoing recovery, and the writing of this book. To Jen's cousin Rob, Rachel, and Alexa, who saved Jen's life that August morning. To Jen's aunts, uncles, and cousins, whose love and patience, times of fear and hopelessness, eased the way. To fellow employees of Hirshleifers, who share the memory of that fateful August 2021 day, and who have welcomed Jen back with love and open arms. To the excellent doctors, nursing staff, and therapists at North Shore University Hospital and Glen Cove Hospital, and specifically to the staff of the neurosurgery ICU at North Shore Hospital, whose extraordinary care kept Jen alive. To the incredible Dr. Henry Wu, Jen's neurosurgeon at North Shore Hospital, who brought Jen out of the darkness and back into life. To the excellent Dr. Sarah Kahn, physiatrist at Glen Cove Hospital, who has skillfully directed Jen's recovery. And then I go on to acknowledge our different therapists, to Saul Katz, and people who, my rabbis, who stepped in and provided advice, to our dear friends who stayed close, prepared meals for us, baked cookies for us, made their presence felt in many different ways. You know who you are. And then a few other things. Then I thought I would read a couple of things, and it's sort of a mix of, our lives were a constant, a mix of loss and gain, joy and profound sadness, terror and exhilaration. There were no in-betweens. It was just extremes. And living with those extremes, it does stuff to your body and your mind. To the point where I would get a phone call from David, and it was like, what's happening? What's happening? And he said, I'm calling to find out what's for dinner. So the mundane issues the mundane things that previously sort of populated our lives, all of a sudden changed completely. And, so your stress level that's where you go to, in the middle of the night when the neurosurgery unit called to say there's too much blood in her brain, we can't get the blood out, we need to put in a drain, knowing that a drain cut through, she'd had drains, when they cut through the white matter, the healthy brain, the remaining healthy brain, and everything was a give and a take. Do you do that? Do you take more healthy brain away? But you need to keep her alive. Every single thing. And it's sort of like in life, it's sort of a metaphor for living, because in life there are trade-offs that we make all the time. I mean, obviously they're not as momentous as, life or death, but they're all types of, and I Jen had gone to the wilderness. No, she was not Moses. We sent her because she was a badass, okay, a real badass. And she was getting into trouble. And when we went to visit her, actually David, Amanda and I then went on our own 6-day wilderness trek. And what you learn is that there's trade-offs. If you drink a lot of water, you gotta pee, and there's no bathroom, God knows where. If you don't drink a lot of water, you become dehydrated and get really sick. Okay, what you do, it's a trade-off, and a whole bunch of other trade-offs. But that's what life is about, and I think one of the things that I learned is how important it is to really look at, because we make these decisions without even thinking them through or realizing their consequence. And it's really important to maybe take a moment and make those decisions in a much more mindful way. Anyway, this one is a little bit of a downer. Okay, so this is so basically what the book is it's Jen and I wrote it in the voice of me, in the voice of Jen, in the voice of David, who went crazy and said this is not my voice, and made some edits, but then moved on to the next thing. The voice of Amanda, although she feels like the voice doesn't really personify her, and then the voice of Mikey. And so it's basically told chronologically. So, me. I was sitting at the dining table and heard sounds coming from Jen's room. She must be up from her nap, I thought. I looked toward the room, expecting to see her turn the corner and head down the hallway. And then I remembered she couldn't walk. It was a crushing blow every time. Jen. I try to write with my mom every day. This is April 3rd of 2022. So her stroke was August 18th, 21. This is almost a year. I try to write with my mom every day. She kept great notes about our time in the hospital and in rehab. And those have been really helpful in piecing together our journey. I love writing, and I love writing with her. We talk, she tells me things I wasn't aware of or didn't remember. And then I tell her things she just didn't know. It was incredible to spend this time together. My stroke gave us the gift of time we didn't know we even needed. It's been a blessing. Sometimes I sigh when I hear how much sadness everyone went through. It makes me feel heavy. But at the same time, it makes me feel so loved. It's a trade-off right there. It makes me feel so loved. I know how loved I am, and I am so lucky. I'm going to write this book. It is my destiny. I feel the need to reach out to people, to share my story, to help them and their family get through something like this. Maybe they'll draw some relief from the fact that life goes on, people heal, families come together, sometimes when there's nothing they can even agree on. I'm going to have one more, but do we have time? So this one might embarrass somebody here, but I'm going crazy.
What are you looking at?
Find out. April 24th. My aunt isn't ordinarily comfortable sharing her emotions. So it came as a surprise to me when my mom walked in today with a journal my aunt had written for me during the time when I was really sick. It's written in pencil in a small blue notebook, the size you can carry in your back pocket. Book 1 is written on the cover. I'm glad we didn't need book 2. The journal was meant to fill me in on what was happening during the time I was not present. As soon as my mom gave it to me, I opened it and thumbed through the pages. Some of the parts were nostalgic and took me back to my childhood. Other parts were funny. Some were sad, even wistful. I could almost hear my aunt considering the possibility that I might not recover, and things might never be the same. The fact that she had to navigate through and see the worst-case scenarios alone broke my heart. On September 2nd, 2021, she wrote, "Hi, my sweets. Today was another good day. You're breathing on your own. Amazing. I really think tomorrow you're going to wake up. We all miss you so much. Love you." That was when Jen was in the ICU at that time, September 2nd, shortly after our story. So, the trick is to try to be present, try to stick with not worrying about what's going to happen, what's going to be. That's how we got through it. When we're there, then we can get ahead of ourselves. Can't get ahead of yourself. And that's sort of a lesson for life. Got to be present. Got to get outside. See the park, trees, smell the smell of the grass. Embrace living, embrace life. Do things that make you feel good, make you feel better. And show your love. Don't be afraid to show your love to each other, your support to each other. Connections are really the only thing that we take with us, that make us smile, that make us happy. The rest of it, it's not that it's unimportant. It's just, in terms of life quality, you need to embrace the people around you. You need to share your feelings. And you need to spread joy. Because it's a way that you can live your life and not just sit and, regret the passage of time and how this summer has flown by. Yes, it has. It How much have you done to make the summer meaningful to you? What relationships have you built? What experiences have you had? What memories do you have that you can take with you that will sustain you in the winter? So that's my story.